welcome back. Let's talk about that massacre at Kwara village, Kaiama local government area of Kwara State. We're joined on the program by the PRO, Kwara State Police Command, Adetom Ejire Adeyemi, joins us via Zoom. I will also be speaking with a security and intelligence expert, Yahuza Getso. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Well, let me begin with the PRO. I mean, a lot of the heavy lifting will be done by you because you are on ground. You have a lot of information about this. But I want us to maybe put to bed at this point the figure of those who were killed in the community. There were initial reports putting it at over 170, but the community leader and the governor eventually said 75, but they're still counting. So what figure do we have now?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the program this morning. The present toll of casualties that we have from that dastardly act that happened on the 3rd of February 2026 at about 17:30 hours, the death toll is 75. Investigations are still ongoing, and we are still going to update members of the public as necessary.
Right, because there are other figures saying it's 160 plus, 170. So it's important to harmonize the figures so we really know. But even if it's just one death, that's one death too many. But I want us to also speak about the narrative. Yes, we could talk about the IGP's deployment of tactical intelligence units to Kaiama following those attacks. Perhaps you tell us what they're up to now and how much of hope we have in them getting at least some sort of justice for the victims. But what exactly played out, Police PRO? Because from what we hear, these terrorists came to the village. We even understand that they took some time to preach, in quotes, to the villagers, trying to force their belief on the villagers. That took some time. In fact, it's even reported that they went to pray, and then they came back, and the massacre started. And these villagers said it took 10 hours for them to get a response from security. So help us understand your own timeline of events. What played out? When did we get a response? And then we can talk eventually about the tactical squad.
Okay, when this incident happened, the police was informed accordingly. The Kwara State Police Command was informed accordingly. And the Commissioner of Police, CP Adekimi Ojo, PSM and IPS, deployed for immediate deployment to that community. Now, this community is about 2 hours from the local government area, which is Kaiama local government area. Our police personnel on ground there, alongside the military and the National Forest Guard, went to that community almost immediately this incident happened. Now, as per the information or the details you just gave, the police is still investigating that detail, that information that they had come and they probably stayed in that town for a while before carrying out that dastardly act. It is really an unfortunate incident, and we are working effortlessly to make sure that such an event does not occur again. Now, I must also make you understand that in the last 1 month, there has been a clearance operation that has been going on in Kwara State and in Kogi State alike. And this has, in a way, disorganized these bandits, in quotes. We have been having relative peace in the Kwara South, not until when this incident happened in the Kwara North. And the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has ensured that adequate security is beefed up in that environment. As of this moment that I speak, it is relatively peaceful, and efforts are ongoing to apprehend these miscreants.
Let me stay with you, PRO, for a moment. And this is the responsibility of government to protect lives and property. I also do know that sometime before you hear one incident, maybe 10 others have been averted. So we must give credit to where it is due. But what has happened in Kwara City lately is clearly a failure of security. I remember the incident that happened with the shooting in the church and the abduction of persons that were later released. And then this is perhaps one of the worst massacres in the history of the state in recent time. So what exactly are the conversations the security agencies are having with themselves, beginning with the police, to ensure that, because you could say, oh, they responded, whether it's 75 or 160, depending on what, people were killed, murdered in cold blood, and there was no intervention. So that in itself is failure.
Well, the security agencies here in the states, which comprises of the Nigerian police force, the military, and most importantly, the Director of State Security Service. On 4th of February, there was an on-the-spot assessment that was conducted by these security bosses alongside His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, CON, who went to that community, Woro community, to conduct an on-the-spot assessment. I believe that top security measures and also decisions have been taken. We will just be up and doing, ensuring that such repetitions or such occurrence does not happen again. Now, this decision has also prompted the President of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who also had directed the military to also send down troops to monitor the situation effectively in that community and also surrounding communities, not just there alone. You know, this surge or scourge, as I will put it, is one that we have been living or working up to our responsibilities, and as a result, we are achieving reasonable successes when it comes to combating kidnapping and banditry in the state. This was just, well, it's a sad incident, a very, very sad one, and we are working hard to just make sure there is no repetition of this. The synergy among the security agencies is heightened, and all security bosses, well, they are up and doing as of this moment.
We'll come back to interrogate that. Let's bring in Mr. Getso, who is a security and intelligence expert. Mr. Getso, I did posit that question to the PRO of the police, because if you have people murdered like that when we're not at war, and this has been a common narrative, which is why it looks like there are too many crime scenes around our country, and that's why the perception is out there like Nigeria is not safe. We're literally looking like we're at war. What do you think is the failure here that led to this level of carnage?
Well, good morning once again. As far as I'm concerned, what led to this carnage is negligence. We need to look at 3 to 4 things. Sorry. One, the geography. The geographical location where Wowo or Kaiama is covered by a forest and to some extent a partial difficult terrain. That is one. Secondly, who are these guys that committed this offense? These guys that committed this offense are organized team of Kwara. They are not Boko Haram. In 2016, 2017, 2018, I have conducted a physical research in that area. And also in 2023 and 2025 and 2024. I was also around that location. And I have alerted the federal government and all the institutions concerned about the threats, the coordinated presence of the Lakurawa, the bandits, and other teaming criminals who poses a serious threat to Kwara State, especially that Kaiama local government, Bargu local government, by extension, Shanga down to Ingaski, as well as, to some extent, the link of that forest down to Kainji and Alawa communities or forests to some extent. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it is because of the government's inability to handle the situation as at when due that led to this carnage. I believe I must commend the security agencies for what they are doing, and also commend the government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the efforts they are making here and there. I cannot condemn them in totality, saying that they are not doing anything. But actually, there is a serious negligence from the government. When I say government, I'm referring to 3 tiers of government: the federal government, the state, and the local government. If I, Dr. Wuza Geso, who is a layman, not really a security personnel, but rather a security expert, can take the risk in moving around those locations, those geographical entities, and investigate and provide those informations, which I'm sure I have shared this information with every level of authority as far as the threat is concerned. The national dailies that carried my interviews are there. The YouTube clips are also there. And also the audio from the radio stations where I discuss the issue of Kaiama in the last 9 years are all there.
All right. Mr. Getso, let me come in quickly.
And also the traditional authorities.
Let me come in quickly, because you made a very important point about negligence. We'll come to some of the other points, but let's take this back to the police PRO. In specific terms now, is there police presence? I mean, prior to the attack, was there police presence in War Village?
Well, we had a team, like when you deploy, you make deployment. It might not be a heavy deployment, but we have a police post in that community.
Right. And was the police post still active as at the time of the attack?
Yes, it was.
So how soon did they respond to that attack? Because the community says they didn't get any response until about 10 hours.
Well, as of that moment, I just believe that probably they were overwhelmed. We have also this collaboration with the local vigilantes in that community, and most importantly, the National Forest Guards are also present in that community. I would just say they were overwhelmed. And before they could get back up, because of the distance from the community to the headquarters, the divisional police headquarters, which is located in Kaiama, I don't know how long that took, but it is quite a distance, but definitely they got reinforcement.
So, if the police is overwhelmed in that sense, it speaks to the kind of firepower these people have, the kind of muscle they have. But really, if the police had enough presence, would you have been able to repel that attack?
Oh, yes, because we have had situations like this here in other communities where they had maybe attacks like this, and they were able to repel them to prevent them from carrying out their acts.
Okay. Pardon me, Jeffrey. Just quickly, Mr. Getso, so you brought in another angle to this, and it's quite interesting because prior to this point, the group that a lot of people were pointing fingers at is essentially the Sadiko faction, if I can use that, of Boko Haram, right? Some others have said there's a Bakura Doro faction, JAS in that sense, but now you say Lakrawa. So I know Lakrawa at some point had pledged allegiance to, I think, the Bakura Doro cell in that sense, but Why do you say Lakura? What intelligence do you have that is different from what others have suspected? Because let's be clear, some of the letters that were sent said to have been signed by JAS, right?
Well, the most important things we need to look inward is we need to take ourselves quickly back. Right from initially there were bandits, and those bandits were pushed away later by the Boko Haram and Ansar team that coordinated themselves. And much later, there was huge presence of Lakurawa within that area, and also a population coming from probably on certain allocation. Lot of combined criminal activity, well-coordinated, well-organized criminal activity has been happening there right since the year 2016, 2017, and 2018. And I mark you and note that I have made it very clear that whatever situation is, the intelligence personnel or the security personnel have not been doing what they're supposed to do. They could have prevented the occurrence or the happening of this carnage. Because if at all necessary measures were taken for pushing out, for flushing out whosoever is around that Kaiama radius within the radius of 35 to 75 to 80 radius kilometer, there wouldn't have been presence, and there wouldn't have been a conflict between the community and the criminals, because the community themselves have not really been helping matters. Because if at all they have been providing, I'm not sure if at all there is a linkage between the SIB, the DSS, the police, and the other paramilitary and the military who are operating around that area. And the trouble presence of these guys who have been operating for quite a long time. For how long do we allow criminals to concentrate, to organize themselves, and to stay there? We have been talking about it. The intelligence cannot, the security agencies cannot tell me that they don't know about the presence of these guys for the last 8, 9 years back. So if at all we know whosoever it may be, what matters is not who is there, is why are they left behind unchallenged. That's what matters. It's not the matter of who are there, they belong to which group or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, to the best of my knowledge, they have a very close linkage with more of Lakurawa than that of Boko Haram.
All right, let's take it back to Pierre.
Even though they are all religious radical groups. But whichever way, as far as I'm concerned, it is an absolute and clear negligence that led to this carnage. There is no two way about it.
All right.
You cannot tell me that.
Oh, I just wanted you to land on your thoughts so I can take it to the PRO.
7, 8, 9 years.
Just land on your thoughts, sir.
To 8, 9 years, and that criminal continued to have his organized, well-coordinated, well-organized activity, and you say that you don't know about it. And now the government is saying that we are sending troops. Sending the battalion is not the solution. I think those who are advising Mr. President about handling security need to take everything. They are not doing the right thing. Sending the battalion is not what matters. Does that mean that you need a battalion in Malempashi? You need a battalion in Musawa? You need the battalion in areas of Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, and all over where bandits and other kidnappers and other these criminals are disturbing the communities? What matters is let's do the needful. These guys are there. They have been there for how long? Who is responsible? Why are we not holding people accountable for their responsibility? Does that mean that all the necessary measures that are supposed to be taken by the DSS, by the police, and all the organized joint task force of the security operatives in the state, what have they been doing? They allow these guys to stay there for the lifespan of 7, 8 years, or even if it is 3 years or even 1 year. How many informations have we provided that government neglected and intentionally refused to take the necessary measure? Because if at all the necessary measure, local government chairman cannot tell me that he is not aware of their presence in the last 6, 7 years. The DSS in the local government cannot tell me that he is not aware. The SIB cannot tell me that they don't know about it. The force intelligence cannot tell me they don't know about it. All the paramilitary and military operating around that area cannot tell me that they don't know about it. My own is to provide the information, to take the risk, and I have been taking the risk. I said I have been there to their communities, and I have provided necessary relevant information that could have, if at all it was used, could have averted the happenings and the occurrence, and could have sent away the criminals who have a very well-organized system, who is supporting them with all the social needs, who is supporting them, how are they getting access to all whatever, how comes do they have the capacity and capability to be able to conduct this menace. So it means there is problem somewhere. Investigation must be conducted, and people must be held accountable and responsible for the responsibility being given to them. If at all we will do the needful, we will understand the nitty-gritty of why this kind has happened. But as far as I'm concerned, I keep repeating myself, there is negligence. It is very clear.
So you've talked about the fact that the people advising the president that it's not just boots on the ground in that sense. So in your view, so if I understand you correctly, and if the audience gets your message, you're saying the bigger problem that we're dealing with is not just this dastardly elements who are executing people, it's the people that are funding them. What do you know about that?
Well, I cannot say anything about their funding source. But as far as I'm concerned, there must be a funding source. Because looking at their capability and ability, as well as the capacity to have committed the atrocities they have been committing. They have been collecting levy. They have been taking the responsibility of the judicial activity. They have taken over a lot of part of the powers that are supposed to have been the power of the president, or the power of the local government chairman, or the power of the state governor. But for how long? So I cannot comment on the issue of the funding, because government have said that it knows the funders of the organized crimes in Nigeria, the Boko Haram and whatever. So we are still waiting for the government to respond on that. But as far as I'm concerned, what I am saying is they have been there for a quite long time lifespan of 6 to 7 years. And I have been there about 7 different times. And I have been discussing this through the local media, the international media, as well as the forums where I presented papers at the conferences at the national and an international level. So these are my responsibility. I don't have the authority to do anything, but I provided those informations. I expect the government to have done what they're supposed to have done. Those who are given the authority and responsibility to handle those issues. Why do they allow these guys to stay there for the lifespan of 5, 6 to 7 years? I keep repeating this question. It means there is negligence. It means there is someone somewhere is sabotaging the effort of the government. It means someone somewhere is compromising. It means someone somewhere is a complicit to what is happening. It means someone somewhere need to be held accountable and dealt with accordingly. It's a matter of life and death. It's not the issue of one day. It's not the issue of one life. 1, 2, 3, we are now talking about 70. The total rise to the number of 70 lives that have been lost. You are now sending a battalion. Is sending the battalion the alternative? That can never be the alternative. The alternative is hold people accountable so it can serve as a deterrence for others. Because we have presence of these guys around Kainji, we have them around Alawa Forest, we have them around this in many parts of the northern Nigeria and in many parts of Nigeria. We keep saying that we have ungoverned spaces. Is it not a shame to the government for them to be saying that ungoverned, ungoverned, ungoverned? I don't think it's right.
All right.
I think it's a minus to the government.
So let's bring in.
So government is saying that we have ungoverned, ungoverned, ungoverned. How does it become ungoverned? Why is the local government?
My apologies, Mr. Getso. Let's bring in the PRO so she can have a take on the matter as well. PRO, momentarily we couldn't get a signal with you. connection. Now we have you before we let you go. So let's talk about the way forward. Mr. Getsa said, look, deploying boots on the ground, not necessarily all of the solutions. Also talked about the failure of intelligence. So in terms of mapping that the state is doing, from where you sit and what you know as a representative of the police in the state, what exactly is being done in terms of mapping to mobilize community to help to see how this will not reoccur again, besides words? Because perhaps you may not have the capacity, just like you alluded to and submitted earlier, that the firepower of these people, you know, overpowered whatever deployments that were available at that time.
Okay, if I got you correctly, you were talking about measures that have been put in place to forestall this ugly incident. Most importantly, the synergy between the or amongst the security agencies, the top security agencies here in the state is a very, very cordial one. Now, we always say if you see something, you say something. This is part of which our operational officers in charge of intelligence gathering, which is the state intelligence department, they go out to gather information. Now, it is this intel that we work with, we plan our operations, and then adopt measures that would be carried out to forestall any form of criminal activities happening in any part of the state. We don't just do this work alone. The Department of State Service, they have a great role they play. The military has a very great role they play. And all of these efforts put in place have been one that we have been adopting in policing the people of Kwara State. We are just only going to intensify our efforts to do more and make sure that issues such as this do not happen in any part of Kwara State, not just that community alone. So we're doing more of intelligence gathering and then more of even air support. In an operation such as this, air support comes very, very handy. And that we have been able to get that even from the police and from the military. They have been playing a great role in that. So I promise you, this occurrence is not going to occur in Kwara State.
I mean, we hope we can really hold you by those words, but we need to be clear. This community, but this particular community said they got letters from the terrorists, not once. Is the police aware?
Well, as of now, we did not have any form of report. There was no complaint, and nobody came forward to not even reaching out to the DPO to let them know that, okay, this is what they have experienced, or they have this kind of threat, as the case may be. We do not have any complaints of that sort, of this nature.
Right, but is the police accessible easily to the people?
Oh, yes. Yes, very, very accessible. And that is one of my responsibility as a spokesperson of the state, to make sure that we are available to the people. We always say our slogan, the police is your friend. I would say the police is your best friend, because if anything happens, the police is the first respondent. And we do not just take this responsibility and say, oh, yes, we are in charge. We also collaborate with other security outfits, even as the vigilante group. We synergize with them, because this vigilante, I love to give them their credits, because these personnel, they know the terrain very well. They sometimes even get information, and we relate to the police, and we come to put heads together and carry out operations or strategies on how to avoid criminal elements, or even avoiding the incidents as a whole. Now, we with the National Forest Guards, and we will just keep working. We'll make sure we beef up the synergy between the security outfits to police the people of Kwara State.
That's great to hear. So was this Lakurawa or Boko Haram? Quickly.
Well, investigations are still going on to ascertain who this group are.
And nobody has claimed responsibility as far as you're aware?
No.
PRO Kwara State Police Command, Adetong Ejire Adeyemi, thank you for your time on the program this morning. We've also been speaking with Mr. Yahuza Getso, security and intelligence expert. I think the blend of your perspectives did well for this conversation. So thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we keep our eyes on what's playing out, who's responsible, what is being done to apprehend them, get justice for the people. We'll take a quick break now, and we'll speak to that very thorny issue around electronic. Is it transmission? Is it transfer? In a moment, stay with us.